Hey everybody, it's Prince's friend. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to finish off the review for the B-sides today, and I'm also going to give you my conclusion in this video, so let's go ahead and get started.
Shockadelica, the girl must be a witch. She got your mind, body, and soul hitched. Shockadelica, you need a second opinion, but she never wears a stitch, so you can't take her home. She got you.
So Shockadelica was actually an outtake from the Camille sessions, where he had his voice turned up to sound like a woman, unconvincingly. It was the B-side to If I Was Your Girlfriend, which meant no one really heard it. But I really like this song historically because it's a dig at Jesse Johnson, who had just recently released an album called Shockadelica, and it was kind of a, look Jesse, I can do it better than you can, and was another example of how Prince continued beefs longer than maybe he should have, and he kind of did it under the radar without people even realizing it. But, good song, I actually really like it, and it's about a woman that you really just kind of shouldn't be with. So, good song.
Irresistible bitch, I love the way you walk. Irresistible bitch, I love the way you talk. Irresistible bitch, and I really dig the way you kiss. Irresistible, oh mama, I wish I could resist. My partners ask me why I take so much abuse. Why am I so faithful?
So it was the B-side to Let's Pretend We're Married, which was off of 1999. Irresistible Bitch was one of those songs that Prince loved to sing well into his career. The lyrics of the song are very much in the spirit of 1999 era songs where the women are able to control Prince and he just has zero control over his life. But this song is interesting because in it he's kind of admitting that he knows that he has no control, but he's kind of okay with it. It also doesn't have the desperation in his voice as he normally does, and it's replaced with a, well, at least I get you sometimes, so I'm happy kind of feel to it. Really good song though.
She can make you crazy if you're too close to her heat. She can make you sad when you're happy as can be. She can make you shoot your ego all over her sheets. All is hers in love and war, my little Scarlet Pussy.
So Scarlet Pussy is another Camille outtake that ended up as a B-side to I Wish You Heaven. Weird combo in my opinion. And also meant that it didn't get heard by a lot of people because that single was a flop. Sheila E. and Prince both sing on this track together, and it's a song about cartoony sex and animal imagery. The references to dogs and cats are very like George Clinton, but Prince had been collaborating with him a bit during that time, so it kind of makes sense. I actually have the 12-inch cut to this song, which makes it an even better song, so you should really try and find that one if you can. Scarlet Pussy, great song. So according to Alan Leeds, Prince was challenged to write a song called La 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 He He He, and so he did, and this is the result of that. He actually co-wrote it with Sheena Easton, and it became the B-side to Sign of the Times, which is just crazy. Backing a very serious song with a very not serious song seems like sending mixed messages to me, but who is Prince if not mysterious, huh? It has all the dogs and cat imagery of Scarlet Pussy, but then of course adds in some yelps and howls. You know, like that. Good track, but very silly, and you can tell that he had a lot of fun with it. Again, weird coupling with Sign of the Times. So She's Always in My Hair was used as the B-side for Raspberry Beret in the US and for Paisley Park in the UK, and it harkens back to a Beatles-style metaphor and pop hooks. which makes sense because he was very much into the Beatles' feel at the time, and the Revolution helped write this song. So Prince actually performed this song with pretty much every band he's ever had, which is a pretty interesting fact about this song. He used it sort of as a test to hear what his current group's take would be on the song and see if he wanted to really kind of perform with them. It's one of my faves, to be honest, and I really liked his performance of it with Third Eye Girl. It was really awesome.
So let the rain come down, the rain come down, let the rain come down, down. Let the rain come down, the rain come down, let the rain come down, down. You've been gone 17
So 17 Days is one of Prince's most well-known B-sides, and with good reason. It was the B-side to When Doves Cry. Nuff said. It was originally supposed to be a Vanity 6 song, but Prince decided to keep it for himself when Vanity ended up leaving the group. You can even hear Brenda Bennett in some of the background vocals, so she still gets a piece of it, which I think is pretty cool, even though I'm not a big fan of Brenda. It's a song about a man lamenting about his lover who left him 17 days ago. 17 Days was also famously covered by Living Colour as one of their B-sides, which I think is pretty cool.
Wanna know, baby, what we had was good. How come you don't call me anymore? Yeah, anymore.
So How Come You Don't Call Me Anymore is just Prince and a piano, but he does use some of his own harmonies in there as well. There's some really great screeching on here, and his falsetto is really on point throughout the whole song. It always gets me when he references that it only costs a dime to call somebody, because by the time I heard this, it was a quarter. And of course, nowadays, people are like, what's a phone booth? You know, so it was a B-side to 1999, and again, plays into the whole woman who doesn't want you motif of that time that he was big on. This one was famously covered by Alicia Keys on her debut album, and she did a great job, but in my opinion, no one beats the original.
Last night, it's been another lonely Christmas. Darling, darling, you should have been there. 'Cause all the ones I dream about, you are the one that makes me love shine.
So Another Lonely Christmas is actually a pretty sad song. It's Prince at the grave of his former lover, speaking to her and telling her that he misses her. He does this remember that time when we kind of thing where, he's kind of recounting songs, and you can tell that he might be a little bit drunk on the song. It uses the same voice echoes as he does on Purple Rain, which I think gives it a little bit more presence, and it was the B-side for I Would Die For You, which I think is an interesting choice. One of the songs saying I would die for you, and the other one saying you died and I miss you, and I think that pairing is interesting and makes a lot of sense.
God made you. God made me. He made us all equal.
So God is the B-side for Purple Rain, and I think it really fits. He sticks with his falsetto on this one and has some really great screams, and oh man, this is such a good song. And I think it was the first of many songs that Prince would use to tell people about his faith and his belief in the creation myth of Christianity. And I think it's a good attempt to push a little bit of gospel on pop fans, fans that would never normally listen to this sort of stuff. So he's spreading the word of Christ a little bit further into their ears when they wouldn't have normally heard it at all. The song itself is Prince in a piano, and I've seen him perform little bits of this song on stage, and it really comes off well, and it doesn't really come off as preachy. It's just, hey, this is kind of just matter of fact, and you should listen to this message.
Time for the tears in your eyes. For the tears in your eyes. The tears of sorrow. For since maybe all of them. For the
So remember in the last video when I said that Prince contributed a song to the We Are the World thing instead of singing for it? Well, For the Tears in Your Eyes is that song, and the B-side to We Are the World, essentially. He wrote it with Wendy and Lisa, but it's only credited to him, so I'm not sure why. I think he might have taken it and switched around lyrics and whatnot, but they did contribute to the way that it sounds. It's a song about Jesus and the miracles that he performed, essentially saying the same thing that Prince has been saying for a while, that Jesus is on his way back. So it doesn't really matter what humanity does or how much humanity does. Jesus is the one that's going to save us all, so don't worry about it. And I think that it's interesting coupled with We Are the World, and I think that they were nice to accept it as the B-side, even though it kind of contradicts what the message was, which was, hey, we as people need to do something. So, I don't know. It's weird.
Fantastic, here's in your life at last. You're a little apprehensive, 'cause what it is what you want.
And then we have Power Fantastic, which was the previously unreleased track with The Revolution. It was supposed to be part of the Dream Factory project, but that never came to fruition, so, you know, because he fired The Revolution. This was apparently at the time when Prince was playing around with adding horns into his music, and Eric Leeds and Atlanta Bliss were really an important part to the arrangement. If you take out the horns, the song is just gone. Prince on the piano is amazing as well, and it's absolutely my favorite song from the whole B-Sides collection here. It's about turning to God and having a religious experience, and the Power Fantastic is God, so it's such a beautiful song. So in conclusion, to say that the B-Sides rocked my world in 1993 would be an understatement. There are some songs on here that I prefer more than others, but that's mostly a preference thing since I dig more of his later stuff than his earlier stuff. But everything on here has a place in Prince's history, and it's so nice that it was all kind of collected in one place instead of having to hunt down every single, because I would have done it. I would have been like, well, I would have called around the stores, and trust me, I would have found all of these songs eventually, but it makes it so much easier to have them on one disc. But what I'm planning on doing is doing my research and see what B-side tracks weren't on here, and see if I can do some single spotlights on those for you guys, because I think it would be interesting to start exploring some of those. And this is a really big collection of songs, but it's still missing a few. But what did you think of the B-sides from Prince? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Patreon at patreon.com/princessfriend. May you live to see the dawn.